What's up, everyone? Here's my UFC 129 review. It's a little late, but better late than never. It was a good card. Excited. We got to see all the fights. I thought it was a good event. Some people didn't like the main event, but I'll get to that when I get to it. But we'll start out with just giving out my personal awards. Sometimes I agree with Dana White. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. And then I give out my personal one, performance of the night. So here we go. Fight of the night, I do agree with them. Jose Aldo over Marco Hominick. That was just a great fight. Performance of the night, I gave to Vladimir Machchenko and Lyoto Machida. Submission of the night, I gave to Jason McDonald over Ryan Jensen. They gave it to Pablo Garza. Knockout of the night, they gave to Lyoto Machida. I gave to two, John McDessie. Third round knockout of Kyle Watson, and then Ivan Manjavar's first round over Charlie Valencia. So those are my personal awards that I give out. I mean, no significance. Just I want to do it. But like I said, the first fight we got to see was East Jabon taking on Pablo Garza. This was the fight they gave to submission tonight, and before that Muay Thai clinch happened when Garza threw up the flying triangle. Jabon was winning the striking battle. I thought he was landing the harder shots onto Garza. Garza just really couldn't time his shots that well. But as soon as he got into that clinch, he threw up that Muay Thai. As soon as he got the Muay Thai clinch, he threw up to, the flying triangle. It wasn't sunk in all the way. He kind of had over his foot and not his ankle. But as soon as he kind of went around, transition, got into different positions, at one point he was on top while he had the triangle in. Started throwing down punches and elbows, just didn't work it. And then he went back to his back, tried an arm bar, and then finally he just pulled down the head and got the tap out. So the reason I didn't give it, I mean, it was a great, I mean, if he threw up the flying triangle and it was like stuck in, was above his ankle, and he pulled down his head right then and there and tapped out Eves, I would have gave it to him. But because he kind of worked at it, I thought Jason McDonald was a little bit better, and I'll get to that when I get to his fight. But what's next? Maybe for Garza, maybe Rafael Sensao, the loser of Cub Swanson Air Coke that takes place at 132. Maybe the winner of Michihiro Omagawa, Darren Elkins at 131. What's next for Jabon, Eves? He might get cut here. He's 1-3 if you include WEC fights. I hope not. He's a good, exciting striker. But if he does stay, which I think an exciting fight would be against Leonard Garcia, Nam Fan, or maybe Bruce Leroy, Alex Carestas. So we'll see. But yeah, next fight we saw was John McDessie over Kyle Watson. The reason I give this knockout of the night over Lyoto, just because how he set it up. He was just, the entire fight, McDessie was just the better striker, and he showed that. One thing I will give Watson is that his offensive striking did look improved, but his defense was pretty horrible. He kept his chin up when he threw kicks. He had his arms down, chin up. Just his entire striking defense was pretty bad. He needs to work on it. But at some point, I kind of thought, maybe in the second round, McDessie wasn't landing a lot of hard shots, but he was, and I was like, this is going to go to a decision. But then came the third round, and he set up perfectly. He faked the leg kick and did the spinning back fist that connected right on and just dropped Kyle Watson out cold. And that's why I gave it knockout night, because of how he set it up. It was a fake kick and then spinning back fist that landed perfectly and then knocked Watson out cold. So I was impressed by McDessie, and with that win, I think he needs to take on someone it's a higher level MMA fighter, maybe someone who can take him down and see what's going on there, or someone who's a higher striking level. So who I think is next? Maybe the winner of Sam Stout, Yves Edwards, that takes the place at UFC 131. Maybe the veteran Aaron Riley, he's still on the roster, or maybe Waylon Lowe, he's a tough fighter. What's next for Kyle Watson? Maybe William Ferrari, Paul Taylor, or maybe they get a new guy in the division, they give him Watson. We'll see. Next fight we saw was Jason McDonald, who I gave submission of the night to just because Ryan Jensen is a good grappler. He's no joke off the ground. In his fight previously to Court McGee, like I said in my predictions video, he did very well in the first 2 rounds before he gassed. And he very well, if he didn't gas, he probably would have won that fight against Court McGee. But this fight, McDonald, injury or not, layoff or not, he had an impressive showing. Jensen, like I said, he's not well-rounded, but he's really good on the ground with grappling. And McDonald took him to school. I was very impressed with McDonald's performance. So that's why I gave him submission tonight. What's next for McDonald? Maybe Court McGee. I don't know how long he's been out for. I know he's injured, so he might be a little too far for that. But maybe Dan Miller or Kyle Noak. I hate to say Jason McDonald's a gatekeeper. I don't like the word the gatekeeper. I don't like to say people are going to get cut, but at the same time, that's reality. So McDonald is probably a gatekeeper, and with reality setting in, I also think Ryan Jensen is going to get cut here. If he does stay around, and maybe some of the other guys get cut. One, I'm going to be flabbergasted, and two, well, there is no two. I just think Jensen, out of all the losers tonight that lost, well, all the people that lost, I'm not calling them losers, but Ryan Jensen, I think, is the one that deserves to get cut the most. But I don't think anyone does deserve to get cut, but if someone does, I think it's Ryan Jensen. If he stays around, maybe they get him a new guy, Nick Catone, or maybe the winner of Nick Ring, James Head at UFC 131. But we'll see. Next fight was Ivan Menjivar taking on Charlie Valencia. Before I get this fight, people who are watching these videos know when I say, you know, sometimes my terminology that I use might offend some people. I'm sorry for that, but you know, reality is that, you know, people are going to get cut. People do lose their fights, and sometimes people do not perform to their abilities. And I just make that clear. So if you don't like the words I use, I'm sorry, but sorry. So back to the fight, Ivan Menjivar, Charlie Valencia. Menjivar showed that he was just a bigger, tougher, stronger fighter. Didn't see much else besides they clinched up. Menjivar threw an elbow that I think stunned Valencia, that kind of dropped him. Not really dropped him, but he kind of bounced and bounced right back up. And then he threw that elbow again that broke Valencia's nose. So the first elbow might have been a slip to Valencia, but definitely the second elbow connected, and it broke Valencia's nose. That's why I also gave him knockout of the night, just because, well, how he did it. I mean, you know, normally you see people just throwing punches, but Menjivar actually threw an elbow. I mean, it was pretty impressive in my eyes. So what's next? Menjivar, I'd like to see a fight with Damasio Page. I think that'd be exciting. Maybe Eddie Wineland. I think another exciting one. Or maybe the loser, Takeda Mizugaki, Brian Bowles. But I prefer Damasio Page or Eddie Wineland. I think that'd be exciting. Charlie Valencia, another person that might get cut. I hope not. I think of all the people who lost tonight, doesn't deserve to get cut. It's Charlie Valencia. I know his record shows otherwise, but I think he's an exciting fighter. Maybe a fight with Ian Loveland, I think would be a really exciting one. Or maybe they give him a new guy. Or maybe the winner of Rivera Duran that takes place at the Ultimate Fighter finale next month. Next fight, Claude Patrick taking on Daniel Roberts. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I didn't really see a lot of this. That's when my kids started, you know, hey, Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I had to go, you know, entertain them for a little bit. But I did see some of it, and I did try to rewatch it. What I saw of it, that the fight was all about Patrick having the bigger moments. You know, in the first round, Patrick had 2 takedowns. In the second takedown, he landed a big shot. Kind of stunned Daniel Roberts. Second round, you probably give it to Roberts, but he just didn't have that moment that was kind of like, okay, he won that round, like Patrick did in the first round. And the third round, I just gave it to Patrick. I think Patrick just had an overall better performance than Roberts, and you know, no check mark on any of them. I think, you know, Roberts is still a tough grappler, but Patrick just had him that night. What's next for Patrick? Maybe a fight with Mike Kyle, Nate Diaz, the loser of Cameron Howard. I just think Patrick now needs to, you know, start fighting in some tougher competition. Not saying that Roberts isn't, but keep it going. Maybe the middle tier, not the middle, but more of, you know, the not top 10, but he's kind of outside that gate. And I think that's what Mike Kyle, Nate Diaz is, and we'll see. Roberts, maybe Charlie Brenneman. I think that'd be an exciting fight. I think, you know, it'll be a good test for Brenneman and be a good test against Roberts, as Brenneman's a good wrestler. And Brenneman fighting Roberts would be facing a tough grappler. Or James Wilkes, you know. We'll see. Next fight we saw was the Spike TV bouts, and the first one we saw was Sean Pearson, Jake Ellenberger, and Ellenberger was just too much for Pearson. Like I said in my predictions video, Ellenberger is no Riddle, and when I mean Riddle, I mean Matt Riddle, and from the beginning it was all Ellenberger. He took him down for like a split second, I think, to just say, hey man, I can take you down anytime I want, but he preferred to strike, and he landed a big shot, and landed again, and it was the end of the fight. It was just, Ellenberger's striking was just far superior than Pearson's, and after the first half, I just knew it was going to get stopped either late first round or early second, and I said decision, but it was very impressive, and I think Ellenberger now needs a top 10 opponent. I think he's in there. Some people might disagree, but I don't. So who do I think should Ellenberger fight? Maybe the loser of Alves Story that takes place next 130. Loser of Penn Fitch, maybe UFC 132, or maybe the loser of Nate Marquardt, Anthony Johnson at, you know, when they go to Versus again. What's next for Sean Pearson? Maybe Demarcus Johnson. I think an exciting fight. Charlie Brenneman, or maybe they get a new guy and then they put him against Sean Pearson. The last, of the Spike TV bout was Roy McDonald, Nate Diaz, and McDonald put on a great performance over Nate Diaz. And I said in my prediction video that Nate is like his brother Nick, but he is not like his brother Nick by skill wise. Nick is far superior in everything that Nate does. And some people say the word Diaz brothers, and I think a little bit Nate's a little overrated, and it was kind of shown in this fight. It showed that he had a good chin and tough, but at the same time, man, as soon as he got suplexed 3 times in that 3rd round, I said 2 things to me. One, I think Roy McDonald kind of solved his cardio issue, and 2, Nate isn't Nick, and he never will be. But it was a good fight. I was entertained by it. So what's next for McDonald? I like maybe Mike Pyle, Paulo Thiago, but I think Paulo Thiago has a scheduled bout now. That was announced yesterday. Or maybe John Hathaway. I think that'd be a good fight. What's next for Nate Diaz? Anytime, I'm not a big fan of Nate or Nick Diaz or the whole Cesar Gracie team, but when you put Nate in the cage, it's going to be an exciting fight. So I mean, it's pretty fun to see who's Nate going to face next. And I'd like to see maybe Mike Swick. He hasn't fought in a while. Carlos Alberto Roca, or like I said previously, Claude Patrick. I think how you say his name was it Eduardo Hosha. That's how you say his name, Hosha. My bad. But I think that'd be in a fight with Swick, Hosha, or Patrick. Next is the pay-per-view. What can I say about the pay-per-view? I mean, I liked all the fights, including the main event. So we'll get to it right now. With the first one we had was Ben Henderson, Mark Bosek. I think this fight was a lot closer than what the judges had it. Bocek, I think, got the better of the takedowns and the ground. He kept busy. And Ben Henderson, he did also, but I think Bocek did a little bit more on the ground. But Henderson got the better of the striking and the clinch, and I think that's where the majority of the fight was at. The stand-up part, and that's where Ben Henderson kind of excelled more than Bocek did. But I was impressed by both Bocek and Henderson. I gave the fight 29-28 to Henderson. If anyone cares. Because some people are like a little controversial. Some people, I know some websites gave it 29-28 to Bocek. Some actually, gave it 30-27 Bocek. Some people 30-27 Henderson, like judges. But I gave it 29-28 to Henderson. And what's next for Henderson? I think, he beat Bocek, but I think he is a top 10 lightweight in the UFC. He was a former WC lightweight champion. You can't take anything away from those lightweights. They were talented. It's going to be exciting seeing Anthony Pettis taking on Clay Guida. But what's next for Henderson? Maybe Jim Miller. I know Jim he wants to be in that title picture, and he is, but he wants that title shot. But he's kind of like, 1, 2. I mean, first, we see at 130, Maynard, Frankie Yeager. I think the winner of Clay Guida, Anthony Pettis, gets the winner of that. Well, if Pettis wins, which I think he is, he'll get the title shot after that, and then it's Jim Miller's turn. But that's a long time away, and maybe a fight with Ben Henderson kind of, makes that official that Jim Miller is the #1 contender. Or maybe he fights Sean Shark, Ben Henderson. Or maybe the winner of Dennis Seaver, Matt Wyman, which I kind of like too. And that takes place at UFC 132. So next one was Bocek, Kurt Pellegrino, Kamal Shalaris. But because I like Mark Bocek, I like to see him fight Jacob Volkman because I think he can beat Volkman, and I'm not a fan of Volkman. So, yeah. Next one we had was, let's see, Vladimir Matyushenko taking on Jason Brills, and one punch. That's pretty much all it took in my eyes. One punch to drop Brills, and then a couple to knock him out. Because if you think it's a premature stoppage, go back and watch it and see Brills' hands drop and his legs go limp for that split second. And that was just good refereeing, because if he didn't stop that, the ref didn't stop that fight, Jason Brills would have been a lot longer than that just split second. So I was impressed by Vladdy. He dropped Brills with a good punch, and then he just pounded him out, and it was a dominant victory for Vladdy in my eyes. So what's next for Vladdy? Maybe the winner of Bader Ortiz, takes place at UFC 132. Maybe Stephan Bonner, exciting fight there. Or the loser of Rampage, Matt Hamill, at UFC 130. What's next for Brills? Brendan Vera is still on the roster. Maybe the winner of Krzysztof Szczecinski, Anthony Perush, takes that place, UFC 131. Or maybe he's a fill-in for an injury. You never know. It was a short fight. Next fight was Randy Couture taking on Lyoto Machida. And Lyoto was just too fast and too elusive for Randy. This fight maybe for the first time actually made Randy look like he was his age at 47. And Lyoto looked good. He looked like he's back to his old form before he fought Shogun. I also liked how he did. The one thing I liked about Lyoto was not only how he performed, but what he did after the fight. I gained newfound respect for Lyoto Machida. The way he treated Randy Couture, saying he's a great man. In his interview with Joe Rogan, he didn't, talk about himself all the time. He went over there, grabbed Randy, and said, "Hey, this is a great man." And I was very impressed by that. And some people might not be, and some people just say, "Whoa, blah 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 blah, whatever." But I found new respect because of that. What's next for Lyoto? It's kind of tough because the top tier of the light heavyweights is kind of booked. Maybe he fights the winner of Rampage Hamill. If Rampage wins, kind of it was a controversial fight the first time. Maybe it's a revenge for Lyoto if he gets to beat Rampage the second time, or he's a fill-in for an injury, kind of like Phil Davis was when John Jones got injured. Phil Davis stepped in for Rashad Evans, so maybe he becomes that one. Randy, he had a great career, can't doubt that, and hopefully this is it for him. Next one was the co-main event, Jose Aldo taking on Mark Hominick. This was a great fight. Now this wasn't Aldo's greatest performance, but what it showed me was that he doesn't quit. For the first time, he was in trouble. He was faced with adversity, and for the first time, I think he was on his back. Oh no, he was on his back, I think, in a previous fight. But anyways, he was on his back for a good amount of time, and he did well. I think he passed with flying colors. Was he in some danger sometimes? Yeah, he was, but he still overcame it, and I think he still got the better of the striking sometimes. Hominick, he showed that he deserved to have that title shot. That massive hematoma on his forehead, and he did not want to quit. He didn't care that it could bust. It could hurt him severely if that damn thing busts into his forehead. And he didn't. He wanted to fight. And I thought that fight, that performance, that show of heart and courage gets him a rematch. But obviously I'm wrong, and Jose Aldo's taking on Chad Mendes. But I think Hominick, is a top-tier featherweight in the UFC, and can't wait to see him fight again. What's next for Aldo? I wanted to see Mark Hominick again, but supposedly it's Chad Mendes at 133, so there you go. What's next for Hominick? Now it's not Jose Aldo, maybe the winner of Kenny Florian, Diego Nunes at UFC 131. Maybe the winner of Dustin Poirier, Ronnie Yaya, 131 also. On to the main event, and yeah, I'm trying to get this under 20 minutes, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I have a lot to say about this one. Okay, maybe not a lot because I don't like to say a lot, but I guess 17 minutes is a lot, and that's where I'm at. But St. Pierre overall was the better striker, and that's what won him the fight. I was kind of shocked Jake Shields really didn't attempt takedowns or pull guard or anything like that, or attempt more clinching to pull guard. One thing also was when I think it was the end of the second, beginning of the third, at the rest period, they Jake asked Gilbert Melendez, "Hey, should I pull guard?" And Gilbert said no. Hello, you're behind 2 rounds. If you lose this round, you need a stoppage, and I think it was time to pull guard. But that was just me. And St. Pierre was just on another level striking-wise, and it showed. Some people were kind of disappointed that St. Pierre didn't stop Jake Shields, but at the same time, the first 2 rounds, he was very dominant in my eyes when he had 2 eyeballs. And then the third, he started seeing his eye, he couldn't see out of his left eye, and he became a one-eyed Jared St. Pierre. And you can criticize him all you want, but I mean, go poke yourself in the one eye and go try to fight someone, especially Jake Shields, and see what you do. I was impressed by George St. Pierre. I kind of, as soon as he said that to Greg Jackson, hey, I can't see out my left eye, I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is not good. This gives Jake Shields a great opportunity, and I was kind of worried that George St. Pierre might lose this fight, but he didn't. He continued to move forward. His striking kind of deterred away because he really couldn't evaluate his depth, and he was missing his punches more. But at the same time, man, he did show heart that he did continue. I was impressed by Jake Shields' striking, and it looked improved. And as soon as Jake Shields improves his striking, he's a dangerous fighter. But I was impressed with both these fighters. I thought it wasn't a bad main event. I kind of thought that, the Jose Aldo, Mark Hominick kind of stole the thunder before this main event even started. So, yeah. So I better get this. I just passed 20 minutes, so I'm gonna hurry up and get this done. St. Pierre, what's next for St. Pierre? A lot of people want to see Anderson Silva, maybe a catchweight, or maybe he goes to 25. But the post fight conference with Dana White, that I don't think that's gonna happen. When a writer asked him, "Hey, could this happen?" He kind of looked like, no, like, no, we haven't discussed this, and Dana White, the look in his eyes was like, no. And then another guy asked, "What about Nick Diaz?" And I think he was more opened up about Nick Diaz taking on George St. Pierre than Anderson Silva. So I think Nick Diaz fighting George St. Pierre is a little more, more gonna happen. I'm trying to look for a word, but I can't think of it. Nick Diaz has a better chance of fighting George St. Pierre than Anderson Silva. There you go. If not, maybe the winner of Fitch Penn or Condit Kim. I don't think the winner of those two deserve it. Maybe Fitch, but yeah, not the other three. Shields, Josh Koscheck. Hopefully he's back from injury. I think that'd be an exciting fight with Josh Koscheck, or maybe the winner of Condit Kim. But there you go. I'm way past 20 minutes. I actually wanted this under 15, but I knew it wasn't gonna happen. So yeah, sorry, I'm sick. There you go. There's my UFC 129 review. I'm going to be doing another video shortly. There's also another channel that I made that I'm going to try to fit more videos under 15 minutes. And if I do, they're going to go to that channel. Obviously, this one isn't it, but it's on my page. Just click on it. It's called Senior Stover. So there you go. This is Senior Stover signing off, saying adios. Enjoy your night. Enjoy MMA. See you later.